So finally, back out here in the shop on the F, as Mark jokingly, the comedian, changes it to the F200 day challenge. I can't even say anything. He's not wrong. I don't know. We might even be past 200 days now. But we're back out here. That's all that matters. Here we go. So, I've got the strength cut out of the tubs. I cut those out of there so, I can do some movement here. Got both of those cut out. Took a hole saw and hole sawed the ends, and then just took the wheel of death, which there's a story about that tonight, but we won't even get into that because, safety third. So that's out, and shortly this cross member and that cross member will be out as well. And once that is out, that's probably all I'm going to do tonight. And then the rest of this weekend, I'd like to get all of this. This was just sat in here and bolted down with some crude measurements. I mean, it's close. It's probably within a ½ inch side to side. So within a quarter total. I just got to dial it in, take all my final measurements, and then I'm going to tack in my spring perches this weekend so that, and I'm going to get an approximate on my pinion angle. And I'm going to tack it in so that it doesn't move on me. And because I need to be able to drive it, I need to be able to get it on my trailer. Because once I get this centered, that tacked, the bed, the tubs pulled in to where I have at least, an inch. I'm going to try to get an inch clearance between the inside of the tire and that tub. Once I get all that dialed in, this baby's going to the frame shop. It runs now. There's no reason it can't. I can set the bed on it. I'll just hang the front sheet metal on it, hang the doors back on it, and it needs to go to the frame shop. It needs to get that little tweak that's in the center pulled so that I can keep moving forward with all that stuff, or with all this stuff. I don't want to do the final weld of the spring perches until I make sure everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. Because when it's at the frame shop, it's also going to get aligned. When it comes off that frame machine, I want all my sheet metal fitting. I want to make sure that it's tracking straight. I want to make sure that it's aligned. I mean, you can't really do anything but set the toe on this thing, but I want it done and make sure that I'm all good to go. So when it comes off that frame machine, there's no question as to whether everything is going to fit after the fact. Because once it comes back, all that sheet metal will get broken back off there and it'd be time for body work. So this is where we're at tonight. I'm going to get these cross members carefully trimmed out and probably call it quits for the night. You ever had one of those moments, let's call it a aha moment? Well, I just had one of those this morning. So I'm working on the truck and I'm trying to figure out how I can, excuse Jack's in the background, he's just having a fit. I needed to jack it up in the air. I needed the suspension laying relaxed, just hanging. I needed some stands underneath it. I needed to adjust this rear end side to side, right? So whenever I jack on the pumpkin right there, it wants to twist because it's not, the perches aren't welded yet. So I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, how could I do this and get it up in the air? And then I had one of those aha moments. You ever buy a piece of equipment that you think is going to be really useful, and then you use it like once or twice, and then it gets pushed in the corner and you kind of forget about it and you walk over it and you stack stuff on it and it becomes just a piece of the shop that you just don't even use? Yeah, I've got one of those. And you know what I decided this morning? That would work perfect for this. So about 5, 6, heck, maybe 8 years ago now, I bought one of these Danmar little mini scissor lifts, mid-rise lift. So it's been sitting there for probably the last year. And I've stacked stuff on it, and you've probably seen it in videos, just buried underneath stuff. Well, and I gotta admit, the main reason for not using it as often as I should is it's heavy, and it doesn't move around very easy. So I think maybe I'm gonna devise something that it'll move around a lot easier on, because it's got these frickin' Flintstone rollers, which are fine, but if you're wanting to move it around quite a bit, they're not fine. And you have to lift it by this bracket here, right there. You put this, which is the pump stand, which is a good leverage tool, in that hole right there, and then you kind of pick it up and you move it wherever you want. Only it's not as easy as it sounds, and it's a ball buster to move around. So I did, though. I moved it over here underneath the truck, and I'm going to utilize it. Why not, huh? I'm gonna start using the damn thing more often. So I was wondering, if it's been so long since I've used it, I was wondering if the seals were gonna blow out or whatever, so I was careful lifting it. And I don't know, seems like it's all right. I got the double risers on this end, which I probably didn't need, but it made it lift more level. So, and this thing will go up there. This is pretty low right now. I had it up there pretty high, and that made me a little nervous, and I don't need it that high to do what I'm doing right now. So yeah, here we go. Let's get this thing centered, measured, and tacked in place. So Cam came out and helped me put the bed back on, and we messed with the pinion angle a little bit and trying to get that figured out. It's off by about 1.5 degrees, so just gonna have to mess with that at a further date. So here's what we've got. So bed's back on it for, you know, 1 in the 100 more times that it's gonna be on and off. But I had that fender laying around, so I thought I'd throw it on there just to kind of see. This is the first time I'd seen how low this is gonna be. Now, keep in mind, this is and I took it off the rollers just to get it on the ground, just to see what it was gonna look like. So that's an approximate on the fender. This is a 4.5 drop beam. Thank you, John Pennington. And 1 full coil cut out of a 6-cylinder spring. Now, it's got a 6-cylinder in it, so that makes sense, but 1 full coil cut out. And this is just setting it back on the ground, so I imagine there'll be a little bit of settling. So, obviously it all needs to get bolted on. We won't know where everything sits until it gets bolted on, but I've definitely got some concerns on this thing clearing the steering. That entire lip may have to go. I don't know. Just gonna have to mess around with it and see, but it's got to get all bolted on. Like I was saying earlier, the goal here soon is to get all the body panels back on it so I can get it to the frame shop. But you know, it doesn't have the bed right now is pretty light, obviously. There's no floor in it. There's no tailgate on it. So it's pretty light, so it's not putting all the weight on the back. And I jumped on it a couple of times, but it bottomed out on the lift. So I really couldn't even try to get it to settle. So goal would be, if the front stays similar to where it's at, my goal would be for this bed, this lip, to be sitting right about here. That way it's plenty drivable, still looks good, tires tucked up in there. That's goal. So I'm not gonna do anything to the suspension until everything is on it, until all the weight's on it, because it's still missing quite a bit of weight in the front. The whole front clip and the doors, that's a good amount of weight, plus no glass in it. So more to come on all that. So it's gonna sit, we set the bed on. I measured out where the tank was gonna sit based on where the front cross member kind of measured. And if nothing else, I nailed that. If nothing else on this truck works out, I nailed the placement on that gas tank based on where the front cross member is. Perfect amount of space. So, you know, if I'm pulling the tank, there will be a separate cover here that I'll make some infrastructure for, and it'll be a removable. And I haven't decided whether it's going to lift and I'm going to have some separate compartments down here, because I might as well use that space, right? But I don't want it to be a flat and then drop down over the edge. I don't want that, I don't believe. But my mind may change because it changes all the time. I would think I just wanted a flat panel all the way here, hinge it on the back, maybe a couple clecos here. That way, if you're on the road and you got a problem, you can lift this whole portion up, access the tank, access what could be toolboxes or boxes to stash, whatever. Put whatever you want when you're traveling. Because also my goal, as I mentioned in the past, is to have a hard tonneau cover on it that sits down in the lip, sits flush. I don't want one that comes over and overhangs. So I've got a couple of tonneau covers, hard tonneau covers that I've acquired in numerous places, but with frames that I think both of them are the over the lip size. So I will be cutting them down and trying to modify them to fit down inside the lip. So, all right, now is the time to take some miscellaneous grab hooks and eyelet bolts and come-alongs, and time to start working this this tub on both sides. I got the rear end sitting in there, it's centered. That wasn't that bad. And putting the bed on wasn't that bad, of course, with two people, because there's a lot missing. So, back to work.